They were smiling when they left the house. 10-year-olds Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman stepped into the summer heat wearing matching red football shirts, their ponytails bouncing as they walked down the quiet street. It was a small town, familiar, safe, the kind of place where children could run to the shop on their own and be back before dinner, the kind of place where nothing ever happened, until it did. They were last seen alive near the local college. Their bodies were found 2 weeks later in a ditch over 10 miles away. The town of Soham never heard them scream. Search teams came first, uniforms, dogs, volunteers with torches scanning hedgerows and fields. Then came the media. Then came fear. Posters lined every shop window. Strangers eyed each other too long in the supermarket. Every house looked different once 2 girls vanished from its streets. And through all of it, a quiet man stood at the edge of the crowd. Ian Huntley, the school caretaker. He had offered to help search, told reporters he'd spoken to the girls that day, that they'd seemed cheerful. He stood in front of cameras, shook his head, and said he hoped they were found. No one noticed his hands were shaking. Holly and Jessica had walked past the caretaker's house around 6:30 p.m. He waved them inside. No one knows exactly what he said to lure them in. Some think it was as simple as familiarity. He worked on school grounds. He knew their names. What happened next never should have been possible. The girls never left the house alive. Huntley disposed of their bodies hours later, driving out into the countryside under the cover of night. He burned their clothes, washed his car, cleaned his carpets twice, and when the world came knocking, he played the part of the concerned neighbor. But the truth was, buried under more than just lies. Ian Huntley should never have been anywhere near a school. Years earlier, he had been accused of rape, of underage sex, of theft, assault, one police report after another, scattered across different counties. Not one case resulted in conviction. Not one warning ever followed him. The systems weren't connected. The background checks came back clean. The vetting failed. The doors opened, and a predator walked in. He lived on school property, had keys to the classrooms. Children knew his face, his voice, his habits. He'd passed through every filter that was supposed to catch people like him, because the filters were never meant to work together. Even the woman he lived with, Maxine Carr, defended him to the press. She told police he'd been with her that night. She called him gentle, said he loved kids, but she wasn't home. She was hundreds of miles away. By the time the bodies were found, 2 weeks had passed. The search had turned to mourning. The girls had been hidden in a drainage ditch near an air base. Flies circled the scene. The heat had done its work. Only their jewelry confirmed their names. And the cameras came back to Ian Huntley, this time, to watch him be led away. In the end, there was no trial worth remembering, no motive that explained anything. The town folded in on itself, the school closed for good, parents stopped trusting locked doors. They asked each other who really lived next door, and whether their children were ever truly safe. But the system changed. Too late. A national inquiry uncovered everything the vetting process had missed. Over a dozen warnings spread across 6 police forces, red flags ignored, files buried, no shared database, no one accountable. And so, the question hung in the air, unanswered. How many people looked away? 2 girls had trusted the wrong man. But it wasn't just him who failed them. It was every broken form, every missed report, every stamp of approval. And by the time the pieces were finally put together, 2 empty bedrooms were all that remained. Thank you for listening to Road to Ruins. Subscribe for more true stories where systems fail and people pay the price.